Oh hi. Sofia, the capital and the largest city of Bulgaria. Administrative center of the city Sofia region and his only community of Stolikin. The population minus 1.41 million people. 2020. Whereas the population of all community makes 1.5 million people. According to a census of 2011, about 91.4% of all inhabitants are made by ethnic Bulgarians, and in all community of Stolikin this percent reaches about 96.4%. It is located in the west of Bulgaria, on the southern outskirts of the Sofia Hollow, at the bottom of the massif of Vitosh. The climate is moderately continental. Not of the railroads, there is an international airport, the subway. Since 1998. The tram, the trolleybus. In Sofia about 1/6 all Bulgarian industrial productions. Mechanical engineering, metallurgy, chemical, rubber, pulp and paper, food and flavoring, light industry are concentrated. In the 16th, 18th centuries I was shopping center of the Balkan Peninsula, the second after Constantinople. Since 1879 the capital of independent Bulgaria. The city is founded in the 1st century AD as a part of the Roman Empire under the name Serdica, the name from the Thracian ethnonym of Serda. The Slavs who came in the 6th century rethought the name in a Luxredits. Middle, from a basis and a suffix. In the 11th century after occupation of the city of Byzantium the city is renamed into Triaditsa, in honor of the Trinity, but this name didn't get accustomed. Since the end of the 14th century the use includes the name Sofia given on street. Sofia Cathedral. Antique Serdica, St. George's Rotunda and ruins of the residence of the Emperor Constantine I Veliki. In the 1st century AD there was a Roman settlement of Serdic called by name the Thracian tribe of Serd inhabiting this area here. In the I-4 centuries of Serdic was the administrative center of the Roman province of Thrace. It was the favorite city of the Emperor Constantine I Veliki. 337 years. The imperial yard for many years was here and from here ran the empire. History kept the words of the emperor. Serdic is my Rome. At first he wanted Souk, the capital of the Roman Empire here, New Rome, but the strategic place Byzantium after all won. As a result of religious reform of the Emperor Constantine I Serdic I became also the place of stay of the bishop. Here in 343 in Street. Sofia Cathedral, the Serdikiski Cathedral which the church considers an as continuation of the Anicaean Cathedral took place. In 357 the Roman historian Ammian Marcellin defined the city as big and unapproachable. In the 5th-6th centuries during great resettlement of the people the city endures invasions of barbaric tribes and in 441 was devastated by Huns. In the middle of the 6th century, during government of the Emperor Justinian I Veliki. 565 years. Serdica revives as the important administrative center of the Byzantine Empire under the name of Triaditsa. Only in the religious relation the city was subordinated to the archbishopric, the center in the village of Prima Justiniana. Probably somewhere near the modern city of Ohrid in the territory of modern northern Macedonia, where the Emperor Justinian was born. In 809 the city was a part of the Bulgarian kingdom under the name Sredets. After restoration of the Bulgarian state in 1185, the bishop's is built in a metropolitanate. In 1382 the city was occupied by Ottomans and was a part of the Ottoman Empire. At the end of the 14th century the city received the name Sofia, on Church of Sacred Sofia. In the summer of 1443 the city was taken, plundered and burned by the Polish-Hungarian troops of Vladislav III, but further is restored and became the important center of the empire. There was a residence Rumelia ruling the European territory of the Ottoman Empire, and thus the city became the major, after Constantinople, the Ottoman city in Europe. However, at this time Cathedral Street, Sofia is converted into the mosque, and the Temple Street became the episcopal center. Marines. During the Bulgarian Renaissance in Sofia, cultural activity of Bulgarians, the Sofia literary school of the 16th century developed. The small sacred mountain, around the city there was a ring from more than 50 monasteries, from which over 20 exist still. The city became the important center of liberation movement. In 1870 Vasil Levski organized the underground organization in the city. But on December 27, 1872 he was seized with the Turkish police and is executed, and the underground organization was crushed. During the Russian-Turkish War of 1877-1878 the Russian troops occupied the city on December 22, 1877 on October 20, 1878 from Plovdiv. Temporary Russian management in Bulgaria was transferred to Sofia. On April 3, 1879 Sofia became the capital of the Principality of Bulgaria. The primary merit in it belongs to Professor of the Kharkiv University Bulgarian historian Marin Drinov, taking active part in creation of the new state. Representatives of Austria-Hungary supported making the capital of Veliko Tarnovo. Further, the population of the city and its value as shopping and industrial center quickly increased, however, and by the beginning of the 20th century the industry in Sofia was developed poorly. In 1929 there began work the country's first enterprise for production of products from rubber. Further, the plant of car tires. In 1938 the master plan of the city was adopted. During World War II the city was damaged as a result of Anglo-American bombings. In 1947, on the basis of the main railway workshops, also the car repair plant, Georgy Dimitrov, was created Lokomotivo. In the summer of 1968 there took place the 9 World Festival of Youth and Students here. Also since 1968 Sofia is the venue of the International Book Fair. In 1979 the 25-story hotel, Rodina, was constructed. At the time the highest building in the capital. Sofia is at the bottom of a northern slope of Mount Vitosha in the Sofia Hollow. This city is known since ancient times for the numerous mineral and thermal sources. Sofia lies approximately at the 43rd geographic latitude. Average annual temperature is 11.4 C, and the climate of the city is softly continental. Winter by the standards of Bulgaria cold, with changeable weather and the unstable snow cover lasting on average 60 days. Warming to +10 C are frequent and above at the southern winds. From the northeast, the city is open for cold winds from the north. However, in view of rather low geographic latitude of the city, the average maximum falls below zero quite seldom. At invasions of cold air from Siberia at night when cooling becomes cold too. 15°C are very rare too. 20°C and below. At the beginning of winter, fogs are frequent. Spring in Sofia early but long. Summer warm and solar. However, because of big height above sea level is more cool in the summer than in other regions of Bulgaria. In July and August temperature can rise up to plus 35°C and above. Fall short. Quite interesting feature is that second coldest month in Sofia January, but not February usually is. It is caused besides by the low geographic latitude of the city. In January the sun most poorly warms up air, and in February warming up is much more powerful, and despite lower average minimum in February, the average February maximum grows more intensively than the average minimum falls. One 1,501,402 persons according to the current statistical account for June 15, 2020 live in the city region of Sofia. The source isn't specified. 2461 days. At the time directly 1,410,496 inhabitants. Including in quarters as Koroblian, Kremikovci and others, given about which are shown separately in the table, but nevertheless are the quarters of Sofia. Live in the city. However, considering the temporary and unregistered inhabitants, the actual population of the city makes from 1.5 to 1.8 million by different estimates. According to ENSI of 2012, in the Sofia region, or in the city district of Sofia. Sofia Hail. There live persons, including 621,156 men, 47.5%, and 680,527 women, 52.5%. That is 1106 women are the share of 1,000 men. In Sofia there live 1,212,935 people, 577,355 men and 635,580 women. According to 2001, the greatest area Lulan, 110,117 inhabitants. Then Maladost, 95877 inhabitants. Pajuan, 75312 inhabitants. And Krasnoye Selo, 72773 inhabitants. The prevailing age group between 18 and 64 years, 790,180 people. Then up to 18 years, 201,202. More than 65 years minus 183,049 people. Komet. Mayor of Stolicans Community, Yordanka Asanova Fandikova. Coat of Arms. By results of elections to Government of Community. Sofia is the most important railway junction in the country. Trains go from Sofia in 5 directions. In the territory of the city 8 railway stations are located. The central railway station, the Sofia North, Ilianci, Pajuyinisko, Zakarna Factory, Banshorn and Nadefta. For the period January-July 2004, the number of the served passengers at the central railway station was, that makes 11.8% of the total number of passengers of railway transport in the country. In Sofia there is a management of the Bulgarian state railroads. The Sofia Airport works. On January 28, 1998, the first stage of the Sofia subway from 1 line and 5 stations was started up in operation. As of May 2021, the total length of lines of the subway in Sofia is 52 km. 3 lines, 47 stations. In the system of city passenger transport, buses, trolleybuses, trams, share taxis work. For 2008-95 bus, 17 tram and 10 trolleybus routes work in the city. On June 4, 2004, the new central bus station was open. Science and education. Sofia University of a name of street. Clement of Ohrid. University of the National and World Economy. University of Architecture, Construction and Geodesy. The Technical University, Sofia. Chemical and Technological and Metallurgical University. Oran Geological University, Street. Ivan Rilsky. Timber University. Medical University. State Academy of Business, Dimitsnov. National Sports Academy of the name Vasil Levski. National Academy of Theatrical and Motion Picture Art of a name of Territory of Serafov. Bulgarian National Art Academy. State Musical Academy of a name of the Prof. Pancho Vladigarav. New Bulgarian University. The highest construction school of 50. Karavalov. The highest transport school of Todor Kableshkov. Academy of the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Military Academy of G.S. Rakovsky. Sport. National Stadium Vasil Levski. Sofia submitted applications for holding the Winter Olympic Games 3 times -1992, 1994 and 2014. However, preference was given in all 3 cases to rivals of the capital of Bulgaria, to Albertville, Lillehammer and Sochi respectively. Culture. Theaters. National Theatre of Ivan Vazov. National Theatre of Ivan Vazov. Bulgarian National Opera and Ballet Theatre. Theatre of the Bulgarian Army. State Theatre of Satire of Aleko Konstantinov. Youth Theatre of Nikolay Binev. Museums. Archaeological Institute and Museum. Museum of History of Physical Culture and Sport. Museum of Socialist Art. National History Museum of Bulgaria. National Church Historical and Archaeological Museum. National Art Gallery of Bulgaria. National Ethnographic Museum. National Natural History Museum. National Museum Earth and People. National Natural History Museum. National Gallery of Foreign Art. The National Museum of Military History in Sofia. Religion. The vast majority of believers professes the Orthodox Christianity presented by autocephalous local Bulgarian Orthodox Church. Her cathedral is Alexander Nevsky's Memorial Temple. Islam. Van Bosch's Mosque. Armenian Apostolic Church. The cathedral in honor of Blessed Virgin Mary. Cultural monuments, museums and tourism. Alexander Nevsky's Memorial Temple, the main temple of Bulgaria. Monument to the Tsar Liberator. Sofia is the large tourist center of Bulgaria. Church of Sacred Sofia. 6th century. Monument to A.S. Pushkin. St. George's Rotunda. 4th century. The Cathedral Saint of Week. Sofia. The 10th century. It is probable. Bojana Church. 11th century. Black Mosque. 16th century. Van Bosch's Mosque. 16th century. Saint Alexander Nevsky's Memorial Temple. 1904-1912. Russian Ambassadorial Church. 1907-1914. Antique Fortress of Serdic. National History Museum of Bulgaria. National Art Gallery of Bulgaria. The Dragolevsky Monastery on the Mount Vitosha. Residence of the Bulgarian Tsars of Vran. The National Church Historical and Archaeological Museum at the Sacred Synod. National Palace of Culture. Monument to the Tsar Liberator. Alexander II. Ethnographic Institute and the Museum at Bas. Bulgarian Academy of Sciences. The National Natural Science Museum at the Ban. Archaeological Institute and the Museum at the Ban. On the Mount Vitosha. 2290 m. The National Park of Vitosha Boyansky Falls practices tourism and trekking here. There are ski posts conforming to the European standards. On dams Iskar and Panchareva practice sailing, bow throwing and fishing. Monument to the Russian General I-5. Verko. It is open in March 2013. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.